President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and the floor is given to the defense team for Mr. Kieu Sampon to resume the questioning. You may have the floor now.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I would like us to now talk about the different offices you referred to in your testimony, and I would like you to clarify something regarding Cassel. You stated that before going to work on the Royal worksite, you were detained for some time at K5. I beg your pardon, K16, not K16. Can you tell us what K16 was? Was it an office that had other functions other than those of a security center, or it had always been a security center?
Answer. K16 was not a security center. It was an economics office or office for agricultural products. That office belongs to the deputy head of the province. He was in charge of economics. Economic for Thakampun.
Dans votre déclaration,
in your statement E3/5636, the ERN in French is 007271141, ERN in English 007112226, ERN in Khmer 0004248. You talk of Taman's office. Was Taman the person in charge of agricultural produce?
Answer. I could not hear the name clearly. Taman or Taman?
alors je suis désolée.
I'm sorry about my accent. In French, it is written as follows: M-A-N-N. That is Taman, and the ERN is 0042480. That's in Khmer.
Answer. There is no Taman, but Taman.
Et donc Taman, qui est-il?
And who is Taman, therefore?
Answer. He was a soldier. He was a soldier, and he was part of the battalion. He was the deputy of the battalion.
Dans la déclaration,
in the statement I quoted, that is E3/5636, same ERNs, this is what you stated. Free translation. They started to carry out arrests at K16, and they locked him up in the security center of the region, which was close to K16, which was Taman's office, for one night. The next day in the morning, they took him away, and I do not know where they took him to precisely. End of quote.
Yes, just there may be a translation issue. In the English translation, it reads differently. It states, the first arrests were at K16 and placed at the sectoral security next to Taman's office of K11 for one night. So in the English, the arrests were people from K16, but Taman's office was at K11. So I don't know what the Khmer original says.
Peut-être que le mieux est de...
It is perhaps better to have the witness clarify this point. Witness, can you tell us where Taman's office was located? Was that in K16 or in K11?
But
Answer. He was located close to the prison. Tapir was working close to Taman's office. The office was about 100 or 200 meters apart. So again, Taman, not Taman, that was located close to the prison.
បើសរសេរឲ្យចំ
In fact, his name was Mang.
Alors, première...
In that case, perhaps you should start by clarifying the prison you are referring to. Can you give us the name of that prison?
កាលជំនាន់
That prison was known as Phnom Kraul prison. There was no other official name.
Et est-ce que vous pouvez indiquer...
Under these circumstances, can you therefore tell us if I understood correctly when you said that Taman's office was next to the prison? Can you be more specific on that point?
បាននៅជាប់
It was adjacent to the prison.
Et est-ce que ce bureau avait un nom particulier?
And did that office have a specific name?
បាទខ្ញុំ
Answer. I do not know it well because it belongs to the soldier.
Donc si je comprends bien,
So if I understand you correctly, the Phnom Kraul prison was managed by soldiers. Is that correct?
បាទត្រឹម
Answer. That is correct.
j'ai cru comprendre de...
I understood from your previous answer that Taman is the other name of Meng, that is Sarun's brother. Did I properly understand your testimony or I am wrong?
បានអត់ត្រឹម
Answer. That is not correct. Tamang was the younger brother of Sarun. Taleng was another individual. Taleng was not related to that individual. The former, I mean.
Peut-être pour être sûr,
To be absolutely sure that it is not merely a translation problem, we have this on record, and you mentioned it as it's document E3/5178, and the ERN in French is 0040344486, and it continues on the next page. And the English ERN is 00274 and the ERN in Khmer in principle is 00197 862. and you refer to several persons, and at a point in time you state as follows, and I quote, the Mondo Kiri region, or region 105, was divided into political sections headed by May, Security Sector Deputy Secretary, and a security and military sections governed by Sophia from 1970 through late 1978. The Military Security Office, known as K11, was the office where Sophie worked. A chief of battalion, Mang, a brother of Sarun, who was in charge of the prison and supervised by Pai, end of quote. Do you agree that we're talking of the same Meng, who was Sarun's brother and who was in charge of the prison? Was that the person whose office was adjacent to Phnom Kral prison?
But
Answer, that is correct.
Est-ce que vous savez, puisque vous dites
Since you said that he was in charge of the prison, do you know who were the other persons working at that prison? And can you also specify how you knew that they were working at the prison?
ខ្ញុំអត់សូវ
Answer, I'm not quite sure about this issue. To my knowledge, he was part of the army and Pai was in charge of the prison, and as I said, his office was next to the prison, and I do not know whether he held any position within the prison.
à la suite de cette première citation,
Following that initial quote, this is what you stated, same document E3/5178, and this same ERN. You say that Pai, Phai, was one of Meng's soldiers. He was the chief of Phnom Kral prison, end of quote. Part of it was free translation. So you referred to Meng, Sarun's brother, who was in charge of the prison, and you also talked of Pai, and you said that he was Meng's subordinate. Here again, can you tell us what is the source of your information and what were Pai's duties, to be more precise?
បាទបើតាម
Answer, to my knowledge, Pai was a prison chief, and Tamang was the direct perpetrator to arrest all other prisoners and then sent to Tapai's prison to be in charge of.
et ma question reste la même,
And my question is the same. Can you tell us how you got by that information?
Answer, it is from my observation. No one came to tell me about this. I used to see that
ព្រោះម៉ាំងគាត់
Mang had the function to go and cleanse any people, and he had subordinates who were soldiers. He was in charge of other soldiers.
si j'ai bien compris,
If I properly understood your testimony, you said that you were detained for some time at K16 and you subsequently went to Roya. My question to you is as follows. When did you see Meng was in charge of the arrest? And at what time did you see Pai, the person in charge of Phnom Krau prison?
បាទសំទោសត្រង់
Answer. I did not witness with my own eyes about this issue. Those who could get out of the prison told me about that issue, so I learned the information from those former inmates.
Voilà, donc ça c'est important.
That is important, Mr. Witness. When I asked you to give us the source of your information, and I want to know whether you saw this with your own eyes or was someone else who talked to you about it. Now I understand that you personally didn't know how Phnom Krau was organized, and you stated that it was prisoners who talked to you about it. Did I properly understand your testimony?
ត្រូវ
That is correct.
Donc puisque
Since there are things which you got to know by hearsay, I would like you to tell us what you know personally about the Phnom Krau Detention Center. Do you know when it was established?
Answer. I am not quite sure. I was at Khao Sema. I do not know when it was established. And I said that I saw the trees in the forest that were cleared. And when I was transferred to K16, I used to walk past that location, and sometime I was on the vehicle passing by that location, and the prison was there. I did not know when the prison was established, but before the establishment of the prison building, forest was cleared.
sans savoir à quelle date
Without knowing the exact date of the establishment of that prison, was that prison already in existence when you were deputy chief of office, deputy head of the office, or it was set up thereafter?
ធ្វើអនុប្រធាន
Answer. When I was the deputy chief of the office at Khao Sema, I had no idea about that prison.
ទំនឹងដឹងពេលដែលគេចាប់
Later on, when large groups of people were arrested, I learned about the prison. Perhaps it was in February or March that I learned about the existence of the prison.
Et là, quand vous dites février ou mars, vous parlez
When you say February or March, are you talking of the year 1977?
បាទ
Answer. That is correct.
Je comprends de votre déposition
I understand from your testimony that you yourself never visited the Phnom Krau Detention Center, but you saw it from a distance from the road. Can you give us a brief description of that center and what you were able to see from the road?
Answer. I saw the roof of the building, but not clearly. Since it was that prison was located to the dam, I saw the bamboo fence surrounding that prison, so this is what I saw at the time.
Vous dites que cette prison était
You state that the prison was situated close to the dam. Which dam are you referring to?
កន្លែងនោះគេ
The dam was known as Sot. That was the dam in the Phnom Kraul location, and the dam is still standing.
Je voudrais qu'on soit d'accord sur ce.
I would like us to agree on what you consider as a dam. Is it a big dam on which people work to build a dike and a wall, or is it a small dam or a small dike?
បាទទំនប់ហ្នឹងវា
Answer. It was not too small, and the vehicles could run on the road. There were gates, water gates in that dam.
Et est-ce que vous savez quand ce barrage.
And do you know when that dam was built?
Answer. It was built between 1975 and 1970. It was built in 1974 and 1975, and it was perhaps ready in 1976.
Et quand vous dites, c'est vrai que c'est compliqué de parler.
I know it's complicated to talk about the size. Can you tell us where the water around that dam came from?
បាទទឹក
Answer. The water flew from the mountain. There was a small stream from the mountain, and when the gate was closed, the water was around the mountain, and the villagers in that location used the water to drink.
Vous avez dit que le.
You have stated that the dam was called the Sot Dam or Phnom Kraul Dam. Is Sot the name of the waterway that brought water to the dam, or it pertains to something else?
Answer. In fact, Sot was the one who led the workers at the time.
Est-ce que vous savez quel était le nom?
And do you know the name that was given to the stream flowing down from the mountain and that passed next to that dam?
បាទអូននឹងទូច
That was a small stream. No name was given to that small stream, and perhaps villagers living close to that stream gave a specific name to that small stream. But for me, I do not know the name specifically.
Mais nous sommes d'accord que.
But you'd agree with me that you are a native of Konyek. Is that correct?
បាទខ្ញុំជា
Yes, I was a native of Kahnye district.
Et vous connaissiez le village dans le.
And you knew the village in which the Phnom Kraul Security Center was located. Now, between 1975 and 1979, as you pass by on the road, did you hear the villagers give any particular name to that stream?
ភ្នំក្រលបាទ
Villager called that stream Old Phnom Krao, and the stream was so small at that location, and the water was kept in that area.
Vous avez parlé du toit.
You talked of the roof of Phnom Krao. From the road, could you see any other characteristics of the building? Can you specify what Phnom Krao looked like, what kind of structure it had, and in what material was it built?
បននេះ
Nowadays, villagers are living in that location, and most of houses are built from wood. President, the question asked you refer to the period back in the regime. Council wanted to know about the characteristic of the building in 1977 or 1978, not about the present time.
បាទ
Answer. Back then, there were no concrete houses or big houses. The roof of houses were built from thatch, and there were 4 by 5 meter small houses or huts in the area surrounding K11 or 16. But as for the Holmes house, the house was built from a wood plank, and on the ground floor the concrete was laid.
I believe you said Tarong's house. Is that how you would call the Plum Kraal Security Center?
The Holmes house was not far, and within the vicinities, that is around 300 times 400 meters, there was a prison, there was K11, there was K17, and they were close by one another, and that was located in the provincial town, and there was a plan to move the K16 to that area as well. And as I said, there were smaller houses which were built for provisional stay.
Vous avez évoqué.
You spoke about the small houses around K11 and K16, so I understand from your answer that K11 and K16 were close to each other, or close to the building of Plum Kraal, which you described. You said they were about 300 meters away. So were they within the same perimeter as K11 and K16? And I'm putting this question to you because yesterday I understood from your testimony that the Plum Kraal Security Center was surrounded by a fence.
Witness, please hold on, and Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think there might have been a translation issue because in English what the witness said was that it was K11 and K17, not K16, K17 that were close to the prison.
Je vais peut-être.
Well, maybe I'll be a bit more specific with my question. So must I understand from your answer that not far from the Plum Kraal building you described, K11 and K16 were situated, or was it K11 and K17?
Security center was close to K11, and about 500 meters further there was K17. To the north and to the south there were quarters for workers. They worked in a workshop or in a sawmill. So around Phnom Kraal areas, these buildings were located, and the prison itself was located in the center near the stream. As for K16, it was far away. It was at Oj Bar, which was about 2.5 kilometers away, and that you had to cross the stream in order to access that area.
So this brings me back to my previous question. Yesterday, you spoke about a fence surrounding Phnom Kraal, the building of Phnom Kraal. So my question is, were K11 and K17 therefore outside of the perimeter or within the perimeter of Phnom Kraal?
They were outside.
Et
So I believe I understood that you said that K11, that Tasopia was the head of K11. So did I understand your testimony properly?
បាទ
Yes, that is correct.
Et là encore,
And here again, what is the source of your information regarding that point?
There was no need for a source of information, as Sophia was also related to me, so I knew what he did at the time. And he was very close to my mother.
et au
Now, in terms of K17, do you know who was in charge of K17?
K17, which was the Sector 105 office. It was homed, and the chief of the office was Tan, and his deputy was Taloy.
et vous parlez de
And you're speaking about which period regarding K17? Do you know if things changed later on?
Initially, K17 was close to K16 at Obun Kraum, and after 1975 it was relocated to Phnom Kraal. However, K16 had not yet been relocated, and K17 was relocated to Phnom Kraal together with K11 and the security center. These buildings were erected after one another after 1975.
But my question was different. My question was, do you know if at K17 there were different people in charge between 75 and 79, or were the people in charge always the same between the moment when K17 was created and the end of the DK regime.
K17 or the Home's Office was established, and the Tun was head of that office, and Tun was my elder brother-in-law. He passed away last year. As for the law, he was accused of a moral offense in 1970, and later on, after Svai and Si were killed, he was arrested, but later on he was released.
នេះក្នុងឆ្នាំ
And the law actually replaced their position in 1978. And not long after, he was taken away and killed as well. And later on, I didn't know about what happened to that office since I was hospitalized.
So I heard that you said that Tasun was your elder brother-in-law. So what position did he have at K17? What exact position did he have?
បាទខ្ញុំ
I knew he was chief of the office or head of the office.
Interpreter corrects. It was Tatun. Now, an additional question. You said that you were hospitalized at one point in time, and that is how you got to know that Tasarun had become district secretary, if I understood your testimony properly. Do you know what Tasarun's role was, therefore, in relation to the Phnom Kral Security Center?
I think there could be a mistake in the interpretation. He was not a district secretary, but he was sector secretary. So please try to refresh or reframe your question.
Pas de souci, c'est
No problem, that was my mistake. So you said that you learned that Tasarun was a sector secretary when you were hospitalized. So can you tell us if you know what Tasarun's duties were with regard to the Phnom Kral Security Center? If you don't know, simply say so.
I did not know his duties.
Mr. President, I am done with my questions. I will give the floor to my colleague Kong Sam.
អរគុណសូមជម្រាបលោក
Thank you, Council, and Kong Samon, you have the floor. Kong Samon, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I'd like to put questions to you in relation to the fighting between the forces of Democratic Cambodia and the Vietnamese troops. You have testified rather extensively on this point. However, I'd like to get a clarification from you. Before 1975, that is before the victory on 17 April 1975, were there any clashes between the liberated force and the Vietnamese force? Answer: to my knowledge, there were 3 classes. 2 times at Cao Sema and 1 time at Dak Dam. Question. My question to you is about any possible classes before 1975. Were there any? Answer. My response was about what happened after 1975. Question, Mr. Witness, my question to you was about any classes before 1975. For example, between 1970 and 75, were there any classes between the liberation forces and the Vietnamese force? Answer. Between 1970 to 1975, to my knowledge, there was no clash between the 2 forces. Question. You just stated about 3 clashes that took place after 1975, and you stated earlier that they happened in 1977. Can you tell the court how you are so sure that these clashes took place in 1977? Answer. That was based on the information and the announcement that we attacked the Vietnamese because they refused to leave our territory after we made such an announcement. And this announcement was made throughout the sector. Question. Can you tell us a bit more about that announcement? Was the announcement made over a radio or through a meeting or through any other means? Answer. The announcement was made through units meetings. The unit chief receives the information and relayed such information to his subordinates. Question. And did you know the reasons that led to the clashes? Answer. I did not fully grasp the situation. Question. Can you tell the chamber about the classes? Were the which troops on the Vietnamese side they belong to? Answer. Those soldiers were communist soldiers, not active soldiers. Question. Earlier, you also stated that the clashes happened on the territory of Cambodia. How did you know that the clashes occurred on the Cambodian territory? Who told you about that? For example, that those clashes took place on the territory of the Democratic Cambodia? Answer. I learned that information from a handicapped soldier. The soldier stepped on a mine, and as a result he lost a leg, and he was in the same hospital that I was in, and he told me about that. He said that we chased the Vietnamese troops on several occasions, but they did not fully retreat from the territory. They were still within about 1 kilometer inside the territory, and as a result, they attacked the Vietnamese troops. And the same situation applied for the second clash. As for the third clash, it happened at the top of the mountain. They came through stationed on this side, on the other side of the road that belonged to Cambodia, and as a result, soldiers were sent to attack them, and he was amongst those who attacked the Vietnamese troops there, and he stepped on a mine and lost his leg. Question: can you tell the chamber the name of that soldier and which military unit he was attached to? For example, which battalion or division? Answer: he was initially a soldier in Kasama district together with me. Later on, he was transferred to the sector military. Question: you said that a soldier was wounded by stepping on a mine. Can you tell the chamber who actually led that mine, and at which battlefield he stepped on that mine? Answer: it is likely that the mines had been led from the previous regime. It could be mines led by the American side or by the Viet Cong side or by us. So it was very difficult to conclude who actually led those mines. And the Tilki military troops actually stationed in that area, and later on the Viet Cong troops came to also stationed in that area. And on the Khmer side, they didn't want them to station in that area, but they refused to retreat. That's why they were attacked. And as I was asked yesterday whether we were attacked or we attacked them, and in fact we did attack them. Question: in relation to full row, yesterday you testified about it as well. And did you know the mission of full row? Answer: full row was a Vietnamese ethnic group, and I did not know of their real mission. I heard that they wanted to reclaim their Champa territory, which was invaded and taken by Vietnam. Question: and do you know who was the top leader of Full Row, or a sector chief of the Full Row in Mondulkiri or Ratanakiri province? And previously I knew one or two. He passed away. He was chief of a regiment in around 67 or 68, and he was stationed at Dokramom mountain. And he was an ethnic person. Question: Did you know the activities of the full row? For example, during the 1970s, from the period of 1970 to 75 and to 79. And so I was not that familiar with the activities of full row, as we did not interact with them, nor did we have to oppose them. Question. Can you tell the chamber in what year did you first learn about full row? Answer. To my knowledge, as people spoke about it, or that they came to see us, and I learned about it in 1966. And before that, I did not know of the existence of full row at all. Question. Did you know if full row had any contact or communication with Democratic Cambodia cadres in the area that you lived, that is in Mundulkiri province? Answer. I was not aware of any. Question. I'd like now to ask you about your roles or positions, in particular when you was a deputy of the district's office. You already have testified that your two main tasks were to build a dam or to lead people to work in the rice field, and that sometimes you rotated the work with the chief of the office. Can you tell the chamber how many workers or people were under your supervision in your capacity as the deputy of the district's office? Answer. To my recollection, my role was only to lead the people in my respective unit, as people living in the base were under the leadership of the respective commune or cooperative chiefs, although we actually cooperated in a certain work. The chief of those commune or cooperative would liaise with us how to build a particular dam, for example. Question. My question to you is in relation to a number of workers under your supervision that they were in your unit. How many of those? Answer. There were not many in my unit. There were over 30 workers in my unit, and they were divided into two groups, 15 to work on one particular work site, and another group of 15 worked on another work site. And there were also other children of those workers, so the total number of the adult and the children were about 50, though there were about only 30 workers. And in the people in my village were only about 200. That is, they were part of about 30 or 40 families. Question. You have also stated about Kasi and that Kasi had contact with the Viet Cong. So my question to you is, how did you learn of that contact? Answer. Let me talk about what happened at the beginning so that you have a fuller picture as it was related to Ta Lang and Ta Kampoon. He contacted with Ta Tum, the Vietnamese committee, and in fact the home held a meeting there, and I was outside cooking food for them, and there were two Vietnamese messengers who were assisted me in cooking. In fact, a pig was slaughtered to make food for them, and they set a plan that they would return on a specific day. But on that day, only a Kampoon was sent, and Kampoon went to meet the Vietnamese side, while we, the combatants, waited outside. So the meeting was held inside with the Vietnamese counterpart. Then I was asked to get a vehicle from Kati province to transport the materials or equipments. So I came on a motorbike. Then we put the motorbike on the truck and went via Snool route. We were given weapons, medicines, cloth, that is to my recollection, and there were shoes and tent. They were meant for military uses. And later on, Kasi was assigned to continue the cooperation with the Vietnamese side. Although he did not have any authority to make decisions, he was there to receive information and pass on to the upper level. And that was the time that I became his messenger. Question. Can you tell the court the date of those series of meetings? Answer. To my recollection, it happened at the beginning of 1975 and continued until the day of the liberation, that is 17 April 1975. Actually, on that day, I was still in Vietnam in order to gather the people to return to Cambodia, that is those who fled to Vietnam. So Kasi, his deputy, and Loy, who was in charge of the district military, were there. And Kampoon was there initially, but he hurried back. So we met with the people, and they said that they didn't leave anything behind when they returned to Vietnam, and they didn't wish to return to Cambodia. So we actually went back to Cambodia empty-handed without those people. So allow me to say again, on the Liberation Day of 17 April 1975, I was in Vietnam. Question. Can you tell us how the arrangement was made for you to go into Vietnam in order to persuade those people to return to Cambodia? Answer. It was the Vietnamese counterpart who said that Cambodian people actually went inside their territory and resides there. And if we wanted to return them back, we could go and return them, but that we could not force them to return. And if they were willing to return, then the Vietnamese side would assist with the transportation. So we actually went to Vietnam and asked those people, but they said that they didn't leave anything behind, and it was sufficient for them to remained living in Vietnam. So around the 13th or 14th April of 1975, we were there meeting with the Vietnamese counterpart in Vietnam. Question: did you learn of any other communications or other activities that Cassie made with the Vietnamese side at a later stage? Answer: of course, I remember he never went to meet the Vietnamese side again after that time until the day of his arrest. So when we returned from Vietnam, we knew that Cambodia as a whole was liberated, and by June of that year, the district chiefs throughout the country were called for a meeting in Phnom Penh. At that time, I did not accompany him, as I was assigned, promoted to be a deputy of the district office, and he actually went to Phnom Penh with his messenger. Council, thank you, Mr. Witness, and Mr. President. I conclude my session now. President, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Bun Lung Choi. The hearing of your testimony as a witness is now concluded, and your testimony may contribute to the ascertainment of the truth in this case. You are no longer required to be present in the courtroom, and you may return to your residence or wherever you wish to go to, and we wish you all the very best. And the Chamber would like to thank Madame Soka Chanda, the Duty Council, and you may also be excused. Court officer, in collaboration with Risu, please make a transportation arrangement for Bun Lung Choi to return to his residence or wherever he wishes to go. This afternoon, the Chamber will hear testimony of 2TCW 1012 via a video link from Udon Minchai Province. The Chamber will recess for lunch break and resume at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel are instructed to take Hyo Sampon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned to attend the proceedings this afternoon before 1:30. The court is now in recess.